Hours after Trump's truce extension, ship clashes escalated in the Gulf as Iranian forces opened fire on and another vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Hormuz revenge intensified, with the IRGC attacking a third ship in the strait after already targeting 2 other vessels. Has a cornered Trump ceasefire move failed to pacify Mujtaba's camp, as Tehran answers the extended truce not with concessions, but with fresh gunfire at sea? After the MSC Francesca and Epaminodes, Iran has now gone after the Euphoria amid its crackdown in response to US blockade. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps attacked a third ship on April 22 in the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian media reported, escalating tensions in the strategic waterway. The attacked vessel was identified as the Euphoria, according to New News, Fars, and Mer, which all reported the IRGC strike on the ship. Iranian reports said the Euphoria had become stranded on the Iranian coast, without elaborating on the exact circumstances or damage. The IRGC also separately attacked and seized 2 other vessels, MSC Francesca and the Epaminodes, in the same area. The Guard said that the violating ships Epaminodes and the Israel-linked MSC Francesca had endangered maritime security in the Strait of Hormuz. According to the IRGC, both ships were operating without the necessary permits and had tampered with their navigation systems, which it described as a threat to navigational safety. These incidents came just after Trump, on April 21, extended the truce with Iran but refused to lift the US blockade around Hormuz, keeping naval pressure in place despite the attacks. The first Iranian reaction on April 22 to the US ceasefire extension was sharply critical, with Tehran signaling that it views the move as more tactical than substantive. A senior advisor to the Speaker of Iran's parliament issued an outright dismissal of the US decision, arguing that Washington should not portray the extension as a diplomatic concession. Mahdi Mohammadi, an aide to Iran's lead negotiator in the Pakistan-mediated talks, publicly warned the US that the truce extension would not alter the underlying power dynamics. Mohammadi stated that the extension means nothing and stressed that it does not change the ground situation, where the US blockade on Iranian ports remains in place. Mahdi Mohammadi said, and I quote, "Trump's ceasefire extension means nothing. The losing side cannot dictate terms. The continuation of the siege is no different from bombardment and must be met with a military response. Moreover, Trump's ceasefire extension is certainly a ploy to buy time for a surprise strike. The time for Iran to take the initiative has come." Unquote. Additionally, Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Said Irvani, revealed Iran's core red line in an interview with the Tasnim news agency. Irvani said Iran is ready to negotiate, but only after the United States ends its naval blockade on Iranian ports, positioning the lifting of the siege as a necessary first step. He described the US blockade as a direct violation of the existing ceasefire agreement, framing it as an act of economic warfare rather than a legitimate enforcement measure. According to Irvani, Iran has already communicated this condition clearly to US officials through diplomatic channels, leaving no ambiguity about Tehran's minimum demand. The Iranian envoy hinted that once the blockade is fully lifted, talks could swiftly resume, possibly in a neutral venue such as Istanbul. Irvani also suggested there are signals that the United States might be considering some easing of the blockade. Amid a stalemate over peace talks, the US attacked another Iran-linked vessel, deepening tensions even as diplomatic efforts remain stuck. Just days after seizing an Iran-flagged cargo ship, the US captured another tanker, signaling a continued escalation at sea. The vessel was facing sanctions for allegedly smuggling Iranian crude oil through Asia, according to the US government. The US revealed the operation on April 21, the very same day that Trump extended the truce, adding to the timing controversy. The tanker, identified as MT Tiffany, was captured in the Bay of Bengal, far from the Strait of Hormuz and the region's usual flashpoints. MT Tiffany was carrying Iranian oil, according to a US defense official cited by the Associated Press. The US called MT Tiffany a stateless vessel, even though it was reportedly flagged in Botswana, as per the Associated Press. On April 19, US forces had fired at and seized another Iranian-flagged ship in the Oman Gulf, further widening the confrontation. The US military is expected to decide within the next 4 days what to do with the vessel, according to a report. The options reportedly include turning the vessel over to another country or towing it back to the United States. after the U.S. seized another Iran-linked vessel. Tehran's forces allegedly hit a ship in what appeared to be a retaliatory strike. The incident occurred near Oman, according to UKMTO, the British Maritime Security Agency monitoring the region. Details of Iran's apparent revenge were reported in the Times of Israel on April 22. The master of a container ship reported being approached by an IRGC gunboat, raising alarm among the crew. The cargo vessel sustained heavy damage to its bridge after it was fired upon during the confrontation. No fires were sparked, and all crew members were reported to be safe, according to UKMTO. The incident came in the wake of the U.S. hijacking a second civilian vessel in just 72 hours, intensifying the standoff. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on April 21 that the current ceasefire with Iran would be extended, altering the timeline for the temporary pause in hostilities. In a post on his Truth social platform, Trump said that attacks will be held off until Iran puts forward a formal proposal, tying the extension to the prospect of a new diplomatic offer. The truce, which had been set to expire on April 22, was extended at the request of Pakistani mediators, as Trump stated, reflecting their continued role as a back-channel broker. Hours earlier, Trump had publicly expressed that he was not in favor of prolonging the ceasefire, according to Al Jazeera coverage of his on-the-record remarks, underscoring the last-minute nature of the reversal. On X, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also expressed gratitude to Trump for extending the ceasefire, welcoming the decision as a chance to preserve the diplomatic window.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.